The Philadelphia Phillies continue to add to their pitching depth this offseason as they have agreed to a one-year contract worth $4 million with former Brewers pitcher Joe Ross. Ross is now the third notable pitcher this offseason that Dave Dombrowski has added, and it seems like he is really getting into the thick of it when it comes with his pitching. We have seen now this report from Matt Gelb that the Phillies have agreed to terms with right-hander Joe Ross on a one-year deal. Sources tell The Athletic Ross would fill a swingman role for the Phillies. He had a 3.77 ERA in 74 innings for Milwaukee last season. But I do want to sort of pull this up because we see that 3.77 ERA, and it seems pretty good. But I did do a little more of a deep dive into his sort of season splits, and there is a lot more to think about here. Ross had a 1.67 ERA as a reliever compared to a 4.98 as a starter. And it does seem like this is a move for a relief pitcher. Obviously, we know right now, Zack Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, and Ranger Suarez round out the Phillies rotation as of this day. So it does seem like Joe Ross will be probably more of a relief pitcher for the Phillies, but if they did need a spot start here and there, it does seem like he would be the first guy up. Hitters slash just 226, 279, 331. Against him away from the Brewers Stadium last season. He had way better splits on the road away from the Brewers Stadium last year. Ross had a 2.81 ERA in the second half of 2024. His ERA is heavily inflated by one bad start, 5 innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, and hitters hit just 220 against him when he was in relief last season. I'm loving this move. It has been reported for a $4 million contract for 1 year. And I think, once again, we've continued to stress on this channel that you can never have enough pitching, right? Jordan Romano was the first acquisition, a guy that was sort of had a tough 2024, but before that, he was an awesome arm for Toronto. Jesus Luzardo, another guy who had a pretty rough 2024 due to injury, but has been an unbelievable left-handed pitcher in this league for many years now. And now Joe Ross, a guy who, once again, was sort of like a Swiss Army knife for the Brewers. He had some games that he started. He had some games where he was in relief. But it is worth noting that Joe Ross was once again way better as a reliever last year, which is probably the role that the Phillies once again are going to have him in. Last year as a starter, a 4.98 ERA, and hitters hit 733 OPS against him. 15 games as a reliever, it's a 1.67 ERA, and hitters hit just 575 against him last year. So this is, once again, for me, a move that was a bit sort of out of the ordinary. I wasn't necessarily expecting another, I would say, free agent reliever signing. And I wouldn't say that it's a big one. It's not the Jeff Hoffman potential size contract. It's not a contract for guys like Estevez and Scott and Hoffman, but it is a depth move. And Dave Dombrowski has once again this offseason continued to stress that you can never have enough pitching. Joe Ross has been very successful with the Brewers, especially once again out of the reliever spot. And this is really a move here that I think could work out very nice in the Phillies' favor. Ross is mainly like a 3-pitch pitcher. Main pitch being his slider. He then has a sinker and a 4-seamer. The changeup and the curveball, he doesn't really throw a ton, but he does have those really 3 main pitches as his 3. And you're now adding him to a bullpen that is already pretty good. I think we've said that if there's one area that the team got, I would say, worse in since last season, I would probably say the bullpen. And I would say that's based off of last year's regular season, because I don't think anything could have gotten worse than the performances in last year's NLDS versus the Mets. But you are adding Joe Ross now to Matt Strom, who is probably the best reliever, or not probably, he is the best reliever on the Phillies as of right now. Jose Alvarado, we know, is sort of a guy that it's a whirlwind. You get his good, you get his bad, and you get his ugly. You don't necessarily always know what you're getting from Jose, but when you get the good, it's really good. Jordan Romano, a guy obviously that Dombrowski signed a few weeks back, very due for a bounce back year, had some of the best stuff in the entire league in the early 2020s with Toronto. I think we all know that as far as Orion Kerkering, that he's really only getting better at this point. He's still very young. And then to round that out, Jose Ruiz and Tanner Banks. But right now, this is about a 6 to 7 spot bullpen. It seems like the Phillies will have one more spot to compete for, or if they go to sign somebody else. Obviously, I'm not 100% ruling out a reunion with Hoffman or Estevez, but after these last few signings, it does seem like the chances are going down and down every single day. But this is a move to me that the Phillies are, once again, and I've said this probably 4 or 5 times already on this video, they're continuing to stress depth. Last season, there were 4 really good starters in your rotation. And then that 5th spot. You didn't win many games with that 5th spot last year. No good for Taijuan Walker. Like 1 or 2 good ones from Phillips. Any other guy that was in that spot seemed to just get rocked. So they're continuing to stress pitching in general. Obviously, they have that 5-man rotation now built with the acquisition of Jesus Luzardo. But this, to me, is sort of the Spencer Turnbull of last season. If you need Joe Ross to start a game, he's going to be able to start a game. But it does seem like he is going to sort of be in that reliever role unless somebody in the rotation would go down. And he is some sort of insurance as far as Andrew Painter. As we know, he is just off the Tommy John surgery at the beginning of last season. Dave Dombrowski said today in his media availability that he will not pitch in spring training. He will throw, he will go through his workouts, but he will not pitch in games. And it does seem that the timeline for Painter, as Dombrowski said today, is around the July-August mark. There's not obviously a set date on when he would start. It seems like he is going to start off the season down in the minors, but at the same time, you don't want to waste, I would say, too many innings in the minors. If you know what you're getting from Painter, I don't think it's necessarily worth it to throw him 75, 80 innings down in the minors. So it seems like they have a plan. Dombrowski said today that there is a plan set in place for Andrew Painter. But I do think Joe Ross is just, once again, it's nice depth behind Painter. It's nice depth if Luzardo seems to feel something in that elbow again. It does seem like Luzardo, like they said, is 100% healthy and ready to go. But with the elbow injuries, you just never know. So once again, this Joe Ross move for me, I really liked it. I think it's a pretty low price on a guy who has had a lot of success, first with the Nationals the first 2 years of his career, and the last few years with Milwaukee. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of this signing? Do you still want more from the bullpen? Do you want Hoffman back? Do you want Estevez back? But are you in on this Phillies team right now? And that is going to be it for me tonight on Phillies Digest. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. We are humming on the channel right now, and we want to keep it up. Until next time, peace.